As you all know, and you're hearing it every day, our lives have been transformed, and not only temporarily, we think our lives have been transformed and will change for a very long time, if not permanently. So I think the topic that we've been receiving from customers want to hear more about what are the key trends and what are the solutions that are available in the marketplace to help us optimize remote team collaboration and productivity literally from everywhere. So I'm talking to you from my house right now in front of a Logitech camera and with my Logitech headset. And we have with us a subject matter expert from the Logitech team. He's a senior solution architect from Logitech. And I am Sylvain Jacob. I'm the vice president of sales here at Microserve. And I've been for the company for 6 years, and it's been a great journey. And we've got a number of Microserve team members on the line with us, along with over 20 clients. So welcome, and thank you for joining us. In terms of agenda, I have a brief introduction that's already started. And we're going to talk about remote collaboration challenges and key trends and some of the solutions that are available in the marketplace in the industry from our partner Logitech. And then at the end, we're going to have a Q&A. This session is being recorded. So if you have any questions or comments to make, just so you know, the session is being recorded. To give it a little bit of context, this is Microserve's services portfolio. Obviously, you need to acquire the technology that you buy today or that you need to run for your business. So we've got this pillar here from an IT procurement point of view that allows you to procure the technology that you need. But one of the key practice that we are going to market with is our end user compute strategy is essentially deployment all the computers and the technology that you need on your desk. And then we got our audiovisual practice that's been growing year over year in an exponential manner. So we feel that our Logitech partnership fits really well with both of them. From the context that people at home using their end user compute devices now have to collaborate like I'm doing with you right now, whether it's a headset in a simple camera in your home or from anywhere versus the boardroom environment, which is our audiovisual practice with customers, helping them design solutions with our audiovisual practice. So the Logitech partnership fits really well within these three pillars, including the IT procurement piece of Microserve. And the Microserve team is here to help our clients to design and advise you on what the right solutions are for your business needs. With that, I will turn it around to Josh for the heart of our presentation with the Logitech. Thank you for joining us.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate the introduction. Pleasure to be here speaking to all of you today from Logitech. Again, I am a senior solutions architect on our sales engineering team. I kind of serve as an overlay for our sales engineers for the Americas region. And I specialize mostly in the Microsoft solutions side of our portfolio. Responsible for the whole portfolio in the rooms and PC space, but I have a background on the Microsoft side. I'm also a Microsoft MVP in the space, in the Teams, Skype for Business, and prior years, Link space. Been doing that for a while, have a close relationship with Microsoft as a result. So I stay well plugged in on the platform side. And the devices side really became a passion for me, and eventually was able to snag a dream job, if you will, working at Logitech on those devices that were a passion. So it's thrilling to be able to join presentations like this and talk about the gear that I like to geek out on, as well as how they work into the platform that has been such a big part of my career for so long.
And you were saying earlier that you were doing this right out of Florida.
Exactly. Talking about presenting from all over the place. I am presenting to you from Florida today, where we're back up to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Don't know what that is Celsius, but yeah, it's nice and toasty down here today. So we had a day that was below freezing the other day, but it came and went and killed a bunch of plants, and now we're back to our same hot weather. So, all right, I'll get back on track here. I could talk about being in Florida and how much I loathe hot weather in winter, but I won't do that because you all just hate me for that. But let's move on here. Let's start talking about the key trends that we're seeing. And honestly, coming through the pandemic and now being what would arguably be at the tail end or coming out of the pandemic, there's a lot of trends that started to take root and have solidified over that period of time. We want to kind of touch on those really quick and then pivot from those trends into what are some things, what is a holistic approach in deciding on a partner for your video conferencing solutions as it relates to those trends. So jumping right in, first thing on the key trends here that we have seen is obvious. I mean, most of these are probably going to be obvious to most of you. These are on top of mind for anyone in the space right now. But flexible working is likely here to stay. Everyone got sent home at the beginning of the pandemic. And a lot of people at the beginning thought, we'll give this a few weeks, couple months, we'll all go back to work. Yeah, it didn't shake out that way. Things dragged on. Here we are a couple years later. And some have started going back into work depending on where you live. Others are still at home. Others are doing a little of both. There's all kinds of different scenarios that are taking shape depending on the type of job, the industry, the part of the world you're in. The point is that there is a large array of different work scenarios that we now have to think about as providers of IT services and hardware solutions. How do we meet all those needs and make sure that the consumers of these needs have flexibility across the board? So that is one trend that definitely has taken root, probably the loudest, and that we need to keep at the forefront of our minds as we continue to think about solutions. The employee experience and employee well-being are now top priorities. Not that they were never factors or things to consider before, but a lot of focus and attention has been given to the individual's ease of use of the software that they're using, the hardware that they're using. Before, people would kind of just be one of many in a conference room, and that's how they participated in meetings. Now they've gotten used to having their own little square in every meeting, and that gives them a greater sense of belonging or of importance in the meeting. And so their experience there, the way they're represented, the way they feel about using the technology has become much more in focus and a bigger part of decisions that are being made in the IT space. And well-being has come very much into focus as well. Well, there were obvious reasons that everyone went home away from the office and has stayed away in some cases for an extended period of time. There's also a lot of studies coming out now that show that wasn't always the greatest thing for everyone from a mental well-being standpoint or an emotional standpoint or whatever the case may be. There is now this renewed focus on how do we make sure that we're not just giving people the right tools to work from wherever they're at, but we're also taking care of them as people, making sure they're okay, making sure they feel good and seen and taken care of as human beings in their workplace, wherever that workplace is. And then technology is going to shape the future. Um, this is a trend where I think there's interpretation to be had on that, right? I think that a technology is often impacted by the future. I will look to an example of the beginning of this pandemic. Nobody really saw this coming, and it wasn't on the roadmaps of meeting room providers and platforms. They didn't see it coming and plan features for it. But almost immediately, a couple months after everything really started to happen, you saw new features, new roadmap items popping up on platform providers saying, okay, we have new challenges to meet. Here's some new features that we're going to race to market with. So the future actually does impact technology at the same time. But with that note, as people become ingrained into these platforms, into these tools, it will ultimately change the way they work and the feelings about the way they work by those that are making budgetary decisions and planning out IT strategies. So these are all really big trends that need to be kept in focus as we move through how to find the right partners. Some interesting numbers here. The composition, to kind of back up what we were just saying, the composition of the workforce has greatly changed as a result of COVID-19. And these are just some stats that we gave some credit at the bottom there to the source of this from a sampling survey. But you can see, as far as people that are going to be primarily home or remote based with very little time in the office, that's looking like it's going to be 20.4%, which 2 years ago would have blown people's minds to think about that large of a number being mostly home based anywhere in the near future. 32.2% permanently based in an office working at a dedicated desk. That's far less than what people may have thought it would have been a couple years ago. And then 23% are going to work in a hybrid fashion, kind of a mix. Another 23% permanently based in a single deskless work location, like a hot desk. These are going to be maybe your road warriors and people that are on the go a lot. But this is a pretty even mix if you look at it. I mean, with a slight tilt in the direction of people working dedicated to an office, the dynamic of where people work has greatly changed already. And as we look toward permanency,
Oh,
I think I got
Josh.
muted there with the group when.
Yeah, I lost your audio, Josh. You're good now.
Yep. I unmuted myself there. We can see that these patterns are going to start getting concrete, and we can expect more of this. As a result, previous investments or previous strategies in technology are going to have to be modified or altered or kind of retooled to plan for this new change in dynamic of where people are. With that, we need to really take the time to assess the solution that we're going to have in these workplaces. And there's a couple workplaces that we're going to address throughout this presentation. One being the office and the meeting rooms in those office, or the meeting spaces. They're not always meeting rooms. And another is going to be the home office. In all cases, a solution needs to be assessed, and it's probably going to there's probably going to be a desire by the IT admins and groups that are shaping this to make sure that is a consistent and unified solution across environments, not piecemeal, if they can get away with it, which they can, and we'll get to that. One of the first things that's going to be considered is the total cost of ownership. All right, so we've got, as with any kind of big investment in a company, whether it's IT related or not, there's going to be a desire to understand what the total cost of ownership is going to be. They want to know, look, we want a premium experience. We don't necessarily need to have a high price tag. Finding a balance of that affordable price with a solution that is innovative, seamless, brings productivity to new highs, and creates equitable experiences for those who are trying to make sure they continue to be seen in the workplace. That's going to be important, all while making sure the cost stays reasonable and that they can recognize a total cost of ownership and a good ROI in the not too distant future. So that right out the gate, we all know cost is one of the big factors that comes into play. And so as we think about that, as we think about the cost of the solution, as we get ready to deploy something new in the workplace, what's it going to cost? How quickly are we going to realize that value? And what are we going to get for it? Are we getting quality? Are we getting a premium experience? We want to make sure that we're getting the best of all worlds. Can't do that in all cases. That's something that Logitech really prides itself on well, and that is providing the right tools, increasing productivity, bringing beautiful aesthetics into a room, giving you tools that are meaningful and useful without having to pay some astronomical price for a premium, reliable experience. So that's consideration number one. Next thing, consistency of experience. I alluded to this a moment ago. We want to make sure that the experience is consistent for the employees, not just those that are at home is consistent for those that are at home, but those in the office have a different experience, though it's consistent. We want it to be experienced across all spaces because, again, a percentage of those workers, 20-something%, are going to be partially at home, partially in the office. They need consistency in both environments. they need consistency in their platform. There's a lot of organizations that might have, during the pandemic, gone one direction with audio video because it was a quick, easy button to do, but they also went a separate direction for their overall IT strategy when it came to their UC strategy, their email, the rest of their workforce productivity suite. And now they're kind of looking into the future saying, wow, this isn't so temporary. We need to think about a more permanent situation here, and we need to make sure we've got a uniform, consistent experience across the whole playing field. Not just where the person is located, but the tools that they're using and the platform they're on, both in the meeting room and out of the meeting room. So that's going to come into play. Logitech has built products exactly with that in mind, products that will work regardless of the platform that you're on, products that work well for the individual contributor as well as the conference room, and in both cases, consistent with the platform that you have chosen. Whether you're on Microsoft Teams and you need certified devices for every type of conference room and every individual work scenario, or you're on Zoom needing the same thing, Logitech has a completely full portfolio for every one of those use cases with certified devices to make sure that that consistency is experienced in every situation. Number three, a full solution offering. I really touched on that a moment ago as well here. You want to know that if you are solving for the conference room, you aren't just solving for the video conferencing part of it, but now we got to figure out a touch controller, or we need to figure out how we're going to solve for a more complex audio solution than what you provided. Or now we also need touch panels on the outside of the room, but you're just not quite there. That's something that a lot of organizations are like, okay, let's make sure we get what we want for the most part, but now we're going to have to piecemeal some things. It's not ideal, but we'll make it work. Logitech has said no to that scenario. We want to make sure that whether you're solving for a conference room or whether you're solving for someone's desktop at home, that you can get all the pieces and components you need on one platform with a single way to manage all of that stuff from a central IT management tool. You need to know that when you're coming in and purchasing equipment, you can get all the pieces you need up front, not worry about piecemealing, and have the flexibility to manage it as a whole. So that's something we've done, and I'm going to touch on that a little bit more in a few slides as we go along. But right now, I did want to call out that for that same story is true across all of our different partnerships here when it comes to both consistency of experience and the full solutions offering. We partner with Microsoft Teams. We partner with Zoom on their platform, Google Workspace, Ring Central, GoToMeeting, and Pexit. All these platforms can have a complete room story or a complete desktop story with a single video conferencing provider. And we have very close partnerships and alliance teams working with them globally. So it's a big win in our books. Yep. So that was, yeah, I had a slide that was in there a little bit extra. Sorry about that. Solutions for every workspace. We talked about that in terms of having a complete portfolio. The other thing I wanted to highlight about having the complete portfolio is that we want to make sure people understand it doesn't matter the room size or the room type, because let's face it, small, medium, large is not the only types of rooms or huddle space. Even though a room fits into that category, they're going to be different shapes, sizes. They're going to have different audio types of needs, considerations. There are things that need to be taken into consideration to make sure that whatever room size or shape or situation you're in, that complete, full engineered solution meets every single one of them. This is a quick look for the meeting room side of our entire certified portfolio to date. This family just grew a little bit. And when I say the entire one, we're actually missing a little camera right in front of the rally bar in the middle there. The Logitech Meetup should be in there as well, in my opinion, because that has been in the video conferencing family for a while and has been an extremely popular all-in-one video bar with built-in mics and speakerphones. But we have devices from our scheduling panel on the left to our touch controller right next to that, the tap. The roommate is a separate modular compute running our own Collab OS, which is a homebrewed version of Android for our Android platforms. You've got the Logitech Scribe, which is a next generation AI enhanced whiteboarding content camera. And then you've got our two all-in-one video bars with onboard Collab OS Android system, making sure that you're cutting down on cabling and ease of deployment. You've got the Rally Bar Mini for smaller rooms, Rally Bar for larger rooms. They both have a secondary AI viewfinder camera for people counting, group framing, all the awesome stuff that you can get with AI cameras these days. And then our Rally Plus system, which is a more modular approach to your larger spaces. We cover the gamut and we cover all the peripherals in every one of those rooms with our solution. There's no piecemealing here. You can know that going with Logitech as a video conferencing provider, you can shop for every piece of the room that you need to shop for. On the home office side, we also cover the gamut. As you see in this screenshot here, we've got a number of things that are all Logi branded. Barring the actual display itself, you've got Logitech headsets there. You've got Logitech webcams. You've got Logitech keyboards and mice. I don't know if you all knew about this, but Logitech actually makes keyboards and mice. Kind of a big deal with us for quite a while. And in addition to the awesome growing video conferencing portfolio that we are solidifying. But we also have the Logi dock that is coming to market very soon, sitting right there on the desk, doubling not only as a dock to bring all your wires together, clean up your desk space, make it look modern and sleek, but to also double as a certified speakerphone with easy buttons right on the top for muting, unmuting, stopping video, starting video, joining meetings, adjusting volume, all right there on this one little modern, beautiful looking device called the Logi Dock. But that would be the home portfolio. Again, we want to make sure you're not having to piecemeal. All the stuff should be a one-stop shopping experience. Flexibility is another one of those factors. We've designed a few things around flexibility in mind. A lot of shops standardize on Microsoft Teams or Zoom, whatever the case is. There's inevitably going to be the scenario where someone wants to walk into that room with a meeting on their laptop that room system cannot work with natively, or that the room system doesn't have a direct guest join experience for. Teams rooms and Zoom rooms, you can join the opposites meetings on each other's touchscreens, as well as a couple others like Cisco WebEx, and there's a couple more players coming to the portfolio as well, depending on the platform we're talking about. But sometimes there's going to be a meeting that you want to join that's not on that list of direct guest join meetings and not a native room solution meeting. We have a product called Switch that you see right in the center of this table, sits on the desktop. Nice little Y-shaped connector with USB-A and USB-C. A user can plug that into their laptop, a single cable, and they can take over those premium devices in that room. The camera, the speakers, the microphone, even the display, and all gets taken over so that you can use those premium investments with your one-off meeting that you're running from your laptop. Flexibility is key across the board, not just with what you're using in the room, not just with the multiple mounting options that we give you across devices or multiple color patterns for style preferences, but even in the platforms that you use beyond the main platforms we partner with. A little more flexibility here is that we want to make sure every single element of our platform runs on both Windows or Android. Whether we're talking Teams or Zoom, we've got Zoom rooms, Teams rooms that run on Windows, and we've got Android options. The bars are running Android natively, but the roommate that I talked about in that previous slide, that runs Android by itself. And you compare that with any of our other standalone USB cameras and speakers and microphones to turn them into an Android system. So you're not pigeonholed into saying, I want Android, I guess that means I have to go with the bar. Not necessarily. If you want to standardize on Android, that's fine. Pick from the entire lineup of solutions, and you can have both Windows and Android. Flexibility is key here. Here we see a quick look at what the Android solutions look like in a small, medium, large room. Rally Bar Mini, Rally Bar, Rally Plus. They all have speakers, microphones, camera. They all have a a touch panel that you can pair with them, the tap. And in the case of the Rally Plus on the far right, you've got the Android compute, that roommate sitting separate, turning it into an Android solution. For the other two, Android is running on board, so that's already solved for. The entire same lineup, now you see them all sitting next to an Intel NUC as an example. They're all now rooms running Windows. In this case, Microsoft Teams rooms on Windows, could be Zoom, but the exact same portfolio, the exact same lineup, both Windows, both Android. The other thing I want to point out on this screen is all of our partners in the PC space. We partner with Dell, HP, Intel, and Lenovo for giving PC options, right? Different organizations might standardize on different PCs across their company, and maybe they want that flexibility to extend to their room lineup. They've got options there. This is also handy in a world where things like chip shortages come up, and we have to solve for that. Having flexibility in the amount of solutions or amount of providers is a big deal. And Dana saved me in the comments there. I did a few little Canada-specific things I'm not fully brushed up on, so she's able to call out the partner portfolio a bit better. But flexibility is still present throughout. Number 5, shared expertise. It is important that when you work with a video conferencing partner, they are not just experts in their hardware. It is important that they are experts in their hardware, yes, but it's also important that they are experts in the platforms that they are going to integrate with. If they are not, and they are trying to solve a problem for you or spec out a solution for you, they're just going to be trying to sell you their hardware, regardless of what you tell them your needs are. If they truly understand your needs, if they truly understand your platform, the pain points, the integration challenges that come with that, if that is something that's second nature to them because they've invested in employees who are not just experts on the hardware, but experts on the platform as well, then you're going to make sure that they are not looking out just to make a sale, but that they are looking out for you and the needs that you have in terms of getting the right solution in each of those rooms. It's not about selling something, it's about providing a solution at that point. And you know that that's the motives when you can see that that company has brought people into their roster that have that expertise. Definitely something to watch out for, and something I can personally attest that Logitech has done in spades. A global footprint. We are indeed a global shop. We kind of have our roots in Europe, actually, and have since spread to the North American region. We are operating out of the Asia Pacific realm as well. We've got different business segments in all those places, and that same concept applies to the distribution and supply chain portions of our business as well. Very important factor for global organizations that are looking to make sure they have ready availability of product when they need it. Let's face it, there might be a number of factors that contribute to whether or not you buy a solution. In this day and age, availability of product comes into play a lot more often than it should. And so having a partner that is well set up for that becomes a much bigger deal than it might have in the past. All righty. Number 7, low mean time between incidents. What this means is you want a company that is going to have solutions that are engineered to a level that you're not having to have constant support tickets put in because a cable was pulled or some other ridiculous, annoying thing happened with the system because of maybe the end user made a mistake, they didn't quite know it, they tripped on a cord, whatever the case is. You don't need to be dealing with dozens and dozens of support tickets just because a room isn't getting utilized or equipment's not getting utilized the right way or something was overlooked in the engineering process. You want a company that has thought through how to cable something to prevent accidental cable pulls, how to engineer something to make sure that things aren't going to get accidentally knocked off or devices won't be turned off when no one knows how to turn them on, etc. You want stuff that is intuitive, but strong and end user proof. I mean, let's face it, end users mean well in rooms, but there are a lot of things that are accidental that happen that might stop their meeting for the next 30 minutes when all it takes is someone from the IT department to walk in and fix it in 30 seconds and it's done. Not their fault, they didn't know how to correct it, but those are the kind of problems you don't want to be dealing with on a regular basis. So partnering with someone that has thought through those scenarios and make sure to bake that into the engineering process. Very important. Might not seem like that big a deal out the gate that your cables don't come unplugged, but it will seem like a big deal on the 200th ticket that you've logged for the same stinking issue. So yeah, very important point. Remote management, the ability to not just deploy these devices globally, but manage them globally from a central tool is a very big deal. We have a tool called Sync that is it's actually two tools. There's a local sync tool that you can install on your laptop. You can plug any of our USB devices to your laptop, see their settings in the sync application, update firmware, change settings, but they will also report up to, if you choose, the centralized cloud-based sync platform. And this allows you to manage your devices across the globe. This means you can deploy firmware updates, you can manage settings, you can pair devices by different categories. You can do things like get analytics on your rooms to see if they're underutilized or overutilized based on people counting intelligence capabilities built into your bars. All kinds of things that get surfaced in Logitech Sync. But this is a key part of, again, making that decision about a partner. Not only do you need to ask, do they give you hardware and is it good, but how do they enable you to manage it and manage it well? Logitech Sync is our answer to that, and it is a very robust offering. The other thing I'll mention about Sync is it's free to use by default. There are advanced services that you can pay for to expose advanced analytics, some more advanced support scenarios with paid services. But Sync itself as a platform for management is a free tool to use for anyone that has our equipment. Insights. Does the partner provide insights on the usage of this equipment? I already touched on it a moment ago. We take all kinds of different reporting capabilities in Sync, so you get an idea about what's deployed. You can export inventories of your equipment. You can, the big deal with the room, with the Rally Bar and Rally Bar Mini having that AI viewfinder camera is that it can do people counting. So you can set room capacities for all of your rooms, have room counting happen in those rooms, and then pull those advanced reports to find out, hey, are my rooms even being utilized? And if they are they being utilized with a good number of people? I've got a 12-person boardroom. I see we routinely only have 2 people in it. Maybe we need to rethink some things. Or we have a 6-person room that constantly has 10 people crammed into it. That's also a problem. We need to address it. You can't address it unless you know about it. And that's where the insights come into play. That's where they get surfaced in Sync. Making sure that partner has a tool like that is vastly important to the decision-making process. A few key points to kind of drive your decision-making process home. Brand strength. Now, you can have an amazing marketing team, and we do have an amazing marketing team at Logitech. I should say teams. I'm still learning how marketing works within Logitech, and there's a lot of marketing teams. They all are wonderful and do amazing things with great brands. But if you do not have a great product, if you do not do well by your customers with your product, a great marketing strategy will only get you so far. It'll only take a few of many bad experiences for your brand to become marred publicly if it's not a good experience, no matter how good your marketing is. That's just a fact of customer satisfaction. Having brand strength out there, knowing that your brand is spoken well of by others, that you look at things being shared on LinkedIn and you see the barrage of comments underneath the thing being shared about, oh, I love my this or that. Oh, I've had a great experience here. This has been amazing in our rooms. When you see that kind of feedback, you know, okay, that's brand strength. When the people individually chime in and not just affirm what's been said by your marketing team, but advocate for it themselves, you know that the brand is strong and that the experience is good. So picking a partner that has not just a known brand, but strengthen that brand in the marketplace, that's a good sign that you're on the right path toward your decision. Ethics and sustainability, this may not be high on the radar of everyone's decision making when it comes to buying a product, but it is becoming more and more relevant in this day and age. And hey, I quite honestly, sometimes in certain governments, there are even tax benefits to making sure that you are taking things like sustainability and ethics into an account. But it boils down very simply to the whole do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. That applies to business, right? You don't want to partner with or have a customer that's going to have it be a one-sided relationship where they take your kindness and your good favor and they turn around and don't give you much for it, or cheat you, or don't do well by you, or leave you high and dry when you really need them. That's not what you want as a business. You want a business, a partner that is going to make sure they're doing the right thing in all cases. They're going out of their way to try to understand what the right thing is, whether it's in business, in the world, in our environment, and that they are executing on that, that they're devoting real business resources toward doing the right thing by customers, by partners, and by the world that we live in and share. Those are key core parts of what Logitech is and what Logitech has made significant advancements toward in the last several years. Our CEO, as you see on screen here, Bracken Darrell, has made this kind of a personal drive of his own and made it a key part of what the company does when it comes to ethics and especially sustainability in our products and our packaging over the last few years. So if that's an important point or not, it's definitely something to consider. And I can tell you it's a very strong side of the Logitech family. And business references. When you hire someone, you usually want to ask other companies they've worked for what the experience is. You usually want to make sure you're not hiring someone blindly to come into your company and trust them with your resources and your money, and who knows what they'll do if you don't have any frame of reference. You want to hear from others that things have been well. Same thing in business, same thing with partners. There are peers within the industry, even if they're competitors, that you can turn to and find out what are your experiences. And companies would be remiss if they didn't do a little bit of homework to figure out, hey, what's your experience been? You kind of have managed the same type of team and resources in your company. I see you've worked with this partner. What's your feeling there? What's your thoughts been? This being something that we recommend doing tells you we feel confident, and the references then that you will get back and the story that you will hear back from others that have worked with us and partner with us, because they've been there and they know that it is extremely important to the Logitech family that we take care of customers, partners alike, in all ways, fairness across the board. Get business references, just like you would references for any other thing, whether it's hiring people, whether it's buying a product, personal or business. References are hugely important. A few key things I want to point out about the Logitech brand, in line with those last couple of points we just made there. Over the last 40 years, because Logitech has been doing things for 40 years. Remember that mouse and keyboard part of the business I told you about? It's been around for a while. We've been recognized with over 250 design awards from the engineering side. Over 70% of Fortune 100 companies use Logitech, going back to the business references and the brand strength. We are a market share leader in multiple of the technology categories that we compete in. We do have an ongoing and strong commitment to sustainability, and we are in over 100 different countries with our products, with our customer base. That is a big reach across the globe, serious commitment to doing the right thing, and really good proof in the pudding that our products, our service, our brand has been tried and true across the globe for many years. Lastly, you want to make sure that your partner is designing forward. You don't want to know that they just got a portfolio for here and now. You want to know that the portfolio here and now is looking toward future changes, is forward compatible, and that the new products that are being come out with are going to work with the older products and are designed with the changes in technology. Having a partner that is as tightly integrated with the platform providers as Logitech, that is really important, because they're not just in tune with what's going on in the hardware space, they're also in tune with what's coming down the road on the software platforms themselves, and they can truly design and engineer for that. So there was a lot there. I'm going to go ahead and leave those 13 points as they were. and just point out that we are continuously reinventing video collaboration, continuing back to the drawing board with new devices. A few of the latest innovations, I mentioned Roommate earlier. This is a brand new product, certified for Teams in the next couple months, certified for Zoom, runs both applications as well as our other Android-based platform partners on a standalone compute. Logitech Scribe, that's our camera whiteboard, or our whiteboard camera that we launched just last year. We've got the Tap Scheduler, which is brand new, newly certified for Teams, as also with Zoom, can work with Google Workspaces as well. This was just released and just certified for Teams again, so very important piece to round out the whole room portfolio. You can see a whole row of conference rooms with a whole row of schedulers on the outside. Our Tap IP giving an IP-based touch controller so that you don't have to worry about wrapping that cord back to the room system. It can plug into your PoE network. And then Logi Dock. Very big announcement, very cool device. This is going to revolutionize the way that individual desks are organized. Speakerphone capabilities, docking capabilities. This is going to be a really big deal in a whole lot of work from home scenarios, executive desk scenarios, maybe even hot desking scenarios at work. There you go. You see the Logi Dock in play right there on the desk. And then a couple new ones in the headspace. We've got a Zone True Wireless that'll be hitting the market in a couple of months, also certified for Teams and Zoom, compatible with the other products, and then a Zone Wired earbuds. These round out our existing headset portfolio, and these are already shipping. These are certified for Teams, certified for Zoom, and they are already shipping. They're out in the market. With that, I believe I am at time or close to it there, so I'm
Yeah, you're
going
right on
to
time.
wrap it up.
You're right on time. I really liked the advisory piece of it, Josh, because this is what the Microserve team does for our customers, is help them out, navigate, and choose the right solutions that meets their business needs. So I know we've invested quite a bit in our AV specialty team, both from a delivery and the design team. So please reach out to our organization if you have any questions or you'd like to have some assistance in designing your rooms or your AV environment. So with that, I will open it up with some questions from the audience. I do see. I think I see one here. Is there a way to create a Teams room, but is also capable to do Zoom, like having hybrid rooms essentially between Zoom and Teams?
Yeah.
How
So,
does
I
that work?
mean, and it's a fairly common question with kind of a loaded answer, right? There's a couple different ways to approach that. I talked about Switch earlier, which is where you have a native room that's running like Zoom rooms, maybe, or Teams rooms, but you want to come in and use the opposite platform or some other platform. Then that's where you bring your own device and you use the room for that purpose. But it's not native room at that point. It's your laptop using all the premium features. So that's one approach, and that is a Logitech specific solution. That's outside of the platforms. When it comes to the platform side, though, Microsoft Teams Rooms gives you direct guest join, which allows you to join a Zoom meeting from a Teams room. You can invite the Teams room to a Zoom meeting, join it from the room. Same with Cisco WebEx meetings. And Microsoft announced that I believe it's GoToMeeting and one other platform that I'm drawing a blank on are coming to that lineup in the coming months as well. Zoom, I'm not a Zoom expert, but I believe Zoom also calls it direct guest join, I think, on the Zoom platform, and they allow you to join Teams meetings from their platform as well. And I'm not sure how far that goes beyond Teams meetings. So you do have some interoperability cross-platform. You do have the third-party solution from Logitech to just take over the room and use it for what you want to use it for with your laptop. But there is not a solution, if this is what you're asking for, there is not a solution to kind of walk up to the tap and say, turn this room into a Zoom room. Boom, it's a Zoom room. Now turn it back to a Teams room. That does not exist. I would highly doubt that it would ever exist. I don't think either of the platforms that we've talked about would appreciate such a feature or functionality on the devices is probably the reason why. So.
All right, thanks, Josh. I'm just looking at scanning the exchange there in Teams.
And I love it. We've got people answering some questions or adding context to what I've said in here as well.
Adding value, adding value to the conversation. That's for sure.
Yes.
Yes. Just another one that came to mind earlier there. You talked about Android system and you talked about Windows Teams systems. How do customers make the decisions between those two worlds? Should I go Android or should I go Teams?
Right.
Microsoft.
I mean, and it's a very common question that it comes up a lot, and I think a lot of the times the customer, especially if they've talked to other OEMs, right? If they've talked to some of the others in the market, they might feel a little bit like, okay, some have, some Android's missing this feature or that feature, or Windows can't do these remote deployment options. But now I've talked to this hardware provider and only these solutions are Android and only these are Windows. At Logitech, we have sought to make sure that we simplify that conversation to where it is not a hardware conversation at all. It is completely a platform conversation. None of our solutions are Android only or Windows only, with the exception of Roommate. Roommate is only Android, and it's because it is enabling the other systems to be Android. But that way, when a customer comes to us and says, help me figure out Android versus Windows, we're like, we can help with that, sure. But just so you know, we've got partners that can help you demystify that. But it's not a question of hardware. You can use any of the hardware and go either direction. It really becomes a matter of what feature set do you need? What is most important to you? What features can you not do without? And let's see where that's at on the roadmap. Has Microsoft or Zoom or whoever it is released them on the roadmap, or are they even on the roadmap? These are the things that really they need to consider and they need to weigh. But by them being able to remove the hardware from the equation, it simplifies it. It makes it far less of a complex decision to be made. They can truly settle into platform and not have to worry about sacrificing on the equipment they might have wanted just because it doesn't work on that certain operating system.
Wow. Thanks, Josh.
Yeah.
Just monitoring the question in the feed here. Another one here. A lot of companies are dealing with a segment of works going back in the office and into meeting rooms. Is there, and there's a concern about those in the meeting room not being equally represented in meetings. Yeah, so essentially, how do we make sure that, now I get the question, now how do we make sure we build equity between the people that are physically in the room and the people that are at home? So in a hybrid world, you're going to have people at home, right, and you're going to have people in the office. They're all collaborating with each other. How can we optimize that collaboration between home and office?
Right. So, and then the buzzword there, right, is meeting room equity. That's what's on the tip of everyone's tongue in the industry. How do we make sure, now that we've all gotten used to having our own screen real estate, how do we make sure that everyone continues to feel equally represented in that meeting? And it's a technology problem to solve in that case, right? Because we have people shifting where they're working. We go back to those key trends we're seeing. People will be all over the place. Some are going to be in the office. Some are going to be in rooms. And when they are, how do we let them continue to feel that sense of, I'm still seen, I'm still an important part of this conversation, I'm not just one of many? Logitech's approach to the meeting room equity conundrum is a rather unique one. And for the longest time, we were calling it Right Site 2. You'll still find it called Right Site 2 in a lot of places out there online. But the official terminology for Right Site 2 is speaker view versus group view. So these are new views that we introduced that are made possible on our native Android solutions, the Rally Bar Mini and Rally Bar. This is not yet something that's available and not really something that's on the roadmap at this stage for your meetup solutions or your rally solutions, because this new solution or this new view, the speaker view and group view, they rely on that secondary AI viewfinder camera that we covered in those Rally Bars and Rally Bar Minis, the AI component of the cameras. And what they do is, some providers have sought to solve the problem by saying, our intelligent camera is going to take this picture and then it's going to chop every person into their own little square and give them all their own little square on the screen. Sometimes that works. It might be the right approach in certain scenarios. It also might result in a lot of sideways profiles as people are sitting sideways in the conference room facing across the table. It might result in a number of interesting experiences when it's all sliced and diced. There's great marketing content to show what the theory is. In practice, it may or may not be the best approach. It's up to the customer to decide if it's going to work in each scenario. The approach we decided to take was one in which that secondary viewfinder says, I'm going to capture the active speaker in the room. And that active speaker is going to be the main screen, the main video that's being sent from the room. Then we're going to capture the entire room picture, so we get all the people in the room. We don't want the other end to lose context of what's going on in the room.
Right.
So we're going to take the room view and make it a PIP, the picture-in-picture inside of our larger main view of the active speaker. This is an optional setting. It can be toggled off on the Rally Bar and Rally Bar Mini if they don't like that. But it's our approach to saying, we want the end users on the far end to have context of what's going on in the room, but we don't want to sacrifice a ton of screen real estate for participants that might not be as actively engaged in the meeting. Therefore, we want to keep and focus on the active speaker in the room for the most part. And so that's the approach we've taken. It manifests a little differently in Teams than it does in Zoom. Teams does the PIP version I just talked about. Zoom, with their smart gallery, will actually have what would have been a picture-in-picture will be like a secondary video feed that they'll see in the meeting. So
we'll continue to see innovation from Logitech, but also from the platform provider, right? We saw Microsoft Teams, at some point in time catching up with Zoom, and now Teams has certain features that are ahead of Zoom, and so they're going to continue, raising the bar. Let's call it that way.
Yeah, I love that, raising the bar.
Raising the bar in terms of functionality and with innovations, as much as it is from Logitech or it is from the platform providers. We've got more questions available. A couple more questions if you'd like. We've got a survey being requested by our marketing team in the chat. Please fill in the survey for us to continue to improve the delivery of those sessions. The last thing I'll leave you with, as we wait for maybe a couple more questions, and we had great attendance today, over 35 people, I think it was 39 in total. So that was great, awesome. Great attendance for today's session. The last thing I'll leave you with, I know Dina made a comment there in the chat that our audiovisual team with our account manager are there to help to design these solutions. We also have a new service that's been rolled out in a few clients in Western Canada about meeting rooms, remote monitoring of the rooms, make sure the rooms are always available, with some remote management tool set that we set up to make sure the rooms are always on and always available and up to par. So want to make sure that you guys are aware of those services, and please reach out to our organization. I see some thanks, great presentation and host. Perfect. Well, looks like we are in a job there, Josh and Dana. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for your participation today for all our customers. And please engage with our sales organization to help meet your needs. Have a great rest of your day.